We're recording.
While Kevin's getting to his seat, I will first acknowledge that we continue to live on the days of COVID-19. We are social distancing, so individuals may unmask if they want. It's completely up to you. We do have space for the public to participate as well, and we've been doing that for a number of meetings now, making those accommodations with social distancing. I would ask, though, to start the meeting to please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Negative roll call, please.
Michael Cashman.
Present.
Thomas Wood. Here. Meg LaFave. Barbara Hebert.
Here.
Charles Costick. Here. James Day Coffey is not here, and I am here.
Okay, and I know Meg wasn't feeling that great tonight, so she said that she may not make it. Okay, a couple things related to COVID-19 and an extension of what I just started to say. Starting tomorrow, we will enter phase 4. Phase 4, in theory, was supposed to be the completion of the phase process, not the period by which phase 4 would, extinguish, but the beginning of it. I would liken it to a 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, 4.5, etc. It's been communicated that there is not going to be a phase 5. One might argue that with enough points, that are you really staying within the 4-phase structure, or are you, in another phase all into itself? I'm not here to argue about that or get into the politics of it. What I want to do is give people just the details of where we're at. There are a number of businesses within our community, and I continue to express my frustration and my concerns about us needing details, guidance, plans, and people need to be looking out for the business community. And that is not to say not to do it, in lieu of good public health protocol, but there are at least 3 businesses, for example, in the mall. Bookburg Books, that's always a tongue twister for me, Lake City Hobbies, and China Cafe, that were told that they were originally going to be in phase 2, and they had the rug pulled from them. Then they thought that they might have been in phase 3. Well, phase 3 has come and gone, and now they're being told that they're not in this initial phase 4. So these are small businesses. These are not your traditional corporation, big box stores. And, as we can all say, corporations too are being hit by this, so I don't want to make it seem like it's only the small business, but small businesses are the backbone to our community, and we will continue to advocate for a path forward. The Chamber of Commerce has been very vocal about it. Assemblyman Jones has been very vocal about it. I've been very vocal about it. But as we know, some of those, actually those decisions, not some, those decisions are being made at a higher altitude than us. But we are working with our business community to get the guidance out to people, to work with people, but more importantly, to be solution focused and a creative means. And I'll share one thing that occurred recently, is our process to allow for local restaurants to do dining outside in their parking lots was actually picked up by the Association of Towns, and was shared with other townships and municipalities throughout the state through some social media. And nothing, not a big, huge flag, and I'm not looking to break our arm, patting ourselves on the back. The reason I bring that up is, as we look for solutions for our community, we may be able to provide solutions for other communities, and the like. We have to look for solutions from other communities to bring to our community, okay? And the Association of Towns continues by far to be one of the greatest resources that we put in our budgetary, in our budget each year. I don't know about what's going on with their conference, coming up next year, and we're looking at dialing that back a little bit, but we are still continue to stay connected. And I just also want to thank the Chamber of Commerce publicly. They've done somewhere to, I think, close to 40 workshops and over 5,000 participants getting people onboarded to the guidelines that have been coming out. And the Chamber of Commerce is right in the town of Plattsburgh, but they serve the greater North Country region. And they've just been a great, great resource. Equally, the Clinton County Health Department held a media avail on Wednesday. They've been doing a weekly one for many weeks now. They're going to start dialing that back, but not dialing back their efforts. And that's important to know that they continue to be out there working with the business community, working with municipalities for us to protect, our community in the best interest of public health. So as things develop, I'll try to continue to give you just some footnotes about what's going on. Here in the town, we have begun to do a slow unfreezing of the space. We've been trying to get a sense of just the social distancing, the pathways that are working best for everybody. People have been allowed into the building for appointments. They are signing the tracker book. So we're continuing again to go through those evolutions of things. We will take it again a step further next week. But again, our meetings, for example, the public is able to participate, but we are limiting obviously the number of people in the room. We do ask people to wear masks as they walk in, just like ourselves. If they have to get up, put them on and exit. And that's based upon the best practices that we're receiving from the Clinton County Health Department. Clinton County Health Department has said it's really the droplets. We don't wear masks for ourselves. We're wearing masks for each other. And as you know, and people have jokingly around here called me the Orkin Man. I've got that sprayer. So I'll go around and decon the rooms, but our building and grounds department have been remarkable, doing multi-day decons. Our Board of Elections, we had the primaries here. We deconned it at the end of the night. Building and grounds came in and did it clean. We also had them come in and do a decon as well. And the reason that it was so important for them to be able to hold the primaries here is they needed multiple locations to get an understanding of what it would be like to facilitate, right, the general election. And so they were very appreciative. I want to thank both of the commissioners for working with us and achieving the goals that we had. So with that, I'll shut up and.
Did they have all the districts here?
Yeah. Yep. So
all 9 districts in one place?
Yep. So the last thing that I want to share, it just came to us fairly recently, and it's an older item as far as when it occurred, but I do want to share it with you. Dear Michael, on behalf of the town of Franklin, we would like to thank you for your willingness to help accommodate our needs due to the loss of our highway garage. All the help we received during this difficult time was a humbling experience. Your assistance enabled our highway department to continue plowing, sanding, and keeping our roads clear and safe for travel. Your caring and support is greatly acknowledged and appreciated. Best, Dorothy Brown, Supervisor, along with their highway superintendent, and it got smudged here, so I can't read his name, I apologize. While it is addressed to me, I fully acknowledge publicly that this is not about me, this is about what the town of Plattsburgh did. We in the North Country look out for one another. It was approximately 20 years ago that I came into the region, hearing about the horrors of the ice storm and all kinds of other things, and we've seen Sandy and Irene and a number of other things. And I just think that it's comforting to know that not only could we help out a sister town, but we also know that, God forbid something ever like this occur, I am confident that the town of Franklin and others would have our back as well. And I just want to bring that to everybody's attention, that we allowed them to use some trucks for a short period of time. It didn't stop us from doing what we needed to do, but I think it's just the next thing, and acknowledge their appreciation. So let's jump right into some draft resolutions. Like always, there's the draft minutes. There is a draft resolution for the lift in the highway department. Do either of the members from the highway department committee, do you want to speak on that at all?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Tom, feel free to as well. Yeah, I had a chance to read the information that was sent out by Tim, so I was able to talk to him. I think what's really interesting is that there's certainly, in terms of the quotes, some distinctive differences in the cost. But what's interesting is the fact that they did a little more research, and the one that looks like it's gonna be recommended is the one that's environmentally friendly. And this is gonna be portable units. So we're actually gonna have 6 portable units. 4 of them are the heavier ones, and 2 are lighter ones. So, I had a chance to talk to Tom, excuse me, do you have anything else you
Well,
want to?
they feel, the highway department feels it will be superior to what we already have. And the cost of cleaning them up, taking up on would be prohibitive, would be more than what it costs to get this one.
Sure.
And we wouldn't have environmental problems in the future. So, you know, I can't see anything wrong with this. I'm glad they did research, they went through, they got different bids, and they did their thorough investigation, and I think they've given us a very good model to vote on.
There's 2 items that I could contribute to this conversation. First and foremost is the why we're even here on this topic. There was a system failure. Fortunately, it was not a bad safety system failure. No one got hurt, but system failure nonetheless, and it needs to be addressed, okay? The second part that I'd like to contribute is, as we have discussed many, many times during COVID-19 and beyond, I would say that the town of Plattsburgh has always been very fiscally conservative and very mindful of how we spend dollars. We have put forward a non-essential spending freeze. This is essential. When we speak about essential items, this is those type of items. These lifts put up the multiple ton vehicles up there, and you know, as we approach the winter months and various things, our equipment breaks down pretty regularly, and it can be small breakdowns, but nonetheless they need to get underneath, they need to move things around. So this isn't something that we can say, oh, that's a big dollar, and do we have the money? We will be able to address the funds and to make reallocations and make the appropriate budget adjustments.
And just to add to that, when the pandemic started, that was a conversation that Tom and I had with Tim, is, you know, whether or not the lift was going to be replaced.
Yeah.
What I need to say is that Tim at least involved in some due diligence. He didn't just jump into saying,
Yep.
this is an essential, it must be done. We needed to do some backup homework, so.
Yep.
And this has been on the radar of the safety committee for quite
Okay.
some time.
Yeah,
So I'm very familiar with that. Tim actually showed me the lift that we have. It's not operable now, but there was actually devices that were made to be put on the lift
Yeah.
so that we could accommodate the size of the truck. That's how old that lift is.
Mhm.
The size of the trucks have increased. Those plates that were put on, and this has been on the radar. I know Tim's been working on it a long time, so
Yeah.
I know from the safety committee, we're very pleased to see this come to the floor.
And I think it's an important reminder, you know, like you're saying, we have really tried to adapt things and to nurse things along in an appropriate, safe manner. But, you know, as nice as our town hall is, for example, I always laugh that we have sliding glass doors in this building. You know what I mean? This is an older building, you know, and there are just things that are older and different, and we haven't gone through and retrofitted things. We've taken an approach of, let's address the need versus the want. And this truly is a need,
Oh,
it's not a want.
Mhm.
So, okay.
I would say that, you know, they went, Greg and Tim went through the whole thing with me, how it operates and stuff. And, you know, it's gonna warn you, you have to have an exact spot that tells you if you're in the wrong spot. You can move them to different things, so you can use them for the lighter vehicles when the other ones aren't needed. The other thing I was found interesting is that some of the vehicles that, not the trucks, but some of the other vehicles couldn't be put up, but now on this particular lift they can be, so they'll be able to do more repairs here than having to ship them out. And if we had shipped out all these things
Mhm.
for repairs, cost more than
Yeah,
what we're
Yeah.
spending on this.
Yeah, because they couldn't lift a loader.
Right,
the old
now they
one.
It's a
can.
lot more,
These-
it's a lot more diverse
These are
product.
able to. Plus, the other part of that is the fact that it can be moved from bay to bay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna have to try to jockey vehicles around to get it into the lift. They're not gonna have to use one truck. They've even had to pull a truck out and push it in. It's just gonna be so much easier. Just one thing with the resolution too.
Yeah.
The last resolve, it says order said truck with equipment,
Said like,
said lift, yeah.
All right, there's a 3% site plan return for NCC Systems, actually, which is right across the way here. Looking forward to having them up and running. 3% site plan return for UPS facility, actually right down the road. Good to see them expanding.
And it looks a little better.
Yep,
Mhm.
yeah. Junkyard permit for 28 Flanagan Drive. There is an MOU with the town of Plattsburgh and the Clinton County Health Department. This is, let me just pull up.
Healthy neighborhoods.
Yes, this is basically an opportunity to get a $5,000 grant to be used in the playground area for, I believe, some mats that will go underneath the mulch, etc. So,
Yeah.
um,
No, Mel did speak to us for that. Yeah, that will actually be, yes, the mulch, and then there's mats that go under the swings.
yep.
There's mats that currently, that they've been there for a long
Yep.
time, so she's gonna go purchase
There's
mats.
no percentage that we have to pay in it.
None.
No. And again, I think this is a great example, and I applaud Mel and Erin. They ferret out these opportunities regularly for us, be it through the Youth Bureau, the Clinton County Health Department, Stewart's, we've gotten a number of ones before, so kudos to both of them for doing that. To accept the audit, another good audit. I won't go into the full depths of it, but each of you have been provided a copy, and happy to say that it's also online too for the public. We've done that for a number of years, so
Very good.
very, very happy with the results. And I want to thank our accounting department, Pat and Nikki and Karen, and our auditors, because we were doing all this when most of COVID-19 was breaking out too. So we stayed focused, we continued to work on the real things that needed to be done, because we always felt that the audit is a tool that not only communicates to the public, what's going on, but we try to use it internally in case there's any concerns, so we can make adjustments, and also use that as an overlay moving forward through the budgetary process. So the timing of that, being able to get that done, is great. Adopt and implement a 2020 Town of Plattsburgh Employee Handbook. I know that I've given copies to each of the council members. A copy of the handbook was also sent to Mickey Smith, who is the Teamsters business agent. The handbook is not to compete with the negotiating units contract. In fact, the reason that we provide it to that group in particular is just to make sure that they understand that these are items, policies and procedures related to an array of things such as FEMLA, the Family Medical Leave, and attendance and time policies and stuff. We have really been trying to get this document put together, make sure that it's up to date, that it's in one particular area. We can make amendments or addendums as we need to moving forward. We also wanted to make sure that the language was the language that was also being used by our HR consultant. The reason that that's so critical is as we get advice from her, we needed to make sure that we were speaking with the same dictionary, because words and language and sentence structure really can do a doozy, because people go, oh, well, you're using the word supervisor for town supervisor, but I didn't realize that you were using it in this case as supervisor for, a line supervisor out back, or I didn't realize that you meant clerk you know, as an account clerk versus your I know these sound like really simple things, but that quick snapshot of language can really go a long way. So, the idea is that we will be having it on the docket next week, next Thursday, adopt it. Each employee will be given either a hard copy or a digital copy, but they will also be given an acknowledgement form. And the idea is that they will have probably a 1 or 2 day period to read the document, then they will acknowledge it. That will go into their personnel folder. Okay, so anybody that has questions or concerns about it, it's such a dense document. I just ask you to reach out to me individually, not to diminish it, but it's I think it's about 80 pages or so. And
Yeah,
yeah,
that's right here, Michael.
pretty thick.
That's
So,
why you
but I am formally, just so everybody is aware, the objective though is to formally adopt this next Thursday. We've got some,
And I will send you an email as in,
okay.
as we discussed.
So when everybody gets it, they're gonna get a hard copy?
Either hard copy or digital, Tom. You don't need to give it to them in a hard copy. Digital suffices. Most of the people up front, I would anticipate, will get a digital copy. We'll put it on the S drive and some things like that, and then it will be available multiple locations too. So you know, we'll put one in the situation room. We'll put one in, you know, probably the clerk's office, the supervisor's office, and things like that.
So we'd be able to get a hard copy from you?
Yeah.
Also, there is an amend and correct appointment for Mr. Henry Gale, who has been a long-time member of our ZBA. Steve acknowledged that there was a correction that needs to be made, and I am going to ask if there's no objection tonight, just to read this into the minutes and vote on this item, just because I don't want it to get lost in the shuffle.
I'm not sure that we should right now. We're undertaking, our committee's undertaking, going through all of the resolutions that have to do with appointing people to the various boards, and there are a number of things that we might have to cover.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I mean, did you folks talk to Steve today? I know that he was going to try to reach out to you.
Yeah, we did.
Was it something that he felt that he needed today, or?
I didn't get that impression. I think it was probably something he wanted to take care of. We talked about the correction in terms of the.
Then that's fine then. So I'll leave it to you folks, and then if at the very least it will be drafted for next week for
It's
consideration.
probably okay, but we
Yeah.
want to make sure that these are following the right order.
No, that's Tom. That's completely fine. Like I said, there just seems to have been some angst that I wanted to. So, in that vein, any committee reports that people would like to share? Any committee report? Anything, just generally speaking.
Recreation baseball was on, baseball's off.
Okay.
The county sent out a message this afternoon that there weren't enough coaches, et cetera. So they decided not to go forward with the baseball softball program this summer. Which probably in the long run is gonna be, make it a little bit easier, a little room to breathe. With our recreation folks, it'll give them the opportunity to concentrate on soccer and make sure that we're well positioned with soccer. So,
Yeah.
we are, now working with the county, to try to get a clinic or two out here. The county is gonna hold some baseball, softball clinics. So we are gonna try to get at least one in the town of Plattsburgh.
But, you know, to Mel and Aaron's credit and Building and Grounds, you know, they were ready to go. I mean, they were all in.
We were out there Monday, looking at the fields, and, you know, they had a plan to make sure that the 6 fields that they were gonna need were gonna be ready.
Yeah, yeah, so.
They did open up restrooms, and Katyville Beach open today.
I believe it's, I was told that the Katyville Beach bathroom is now open.
Open. Okay,
One of the
rec
bathrooms.
building is open.
Yeah, the bathroom over at Cumberland Head was scheduled for use, and what I mean by that
Yeah.
is coaches get keys for it. With them maybe not using it, then it will, you know, we'll probably either mothball it again or, you know, just.
Yeah, that'll be it. Usually it's just Katyville and East Morrisonville that are that have outdoor access. There's no access into the restroom from outside.
Right.
At Cumberland Head, you'd have to go in, so that would remain locked, yeah. Water, wastewater too, we did meet with Scott, late last week. I mean, everything's moving forward. There's a few challenges with some of the construction projects, namely in getting materials here that they need. There is, with the COVID, there is some slowdown.
Yeah.
They don't anticipate with the lift stations that it's gonna present an issue. Just taking a little bit longer to get some of the materials there to get those lift stations up and going. And they are working on tanks, so, working with Kimberly, and they're going out to Cumberland Head, so.
Yep.
But they're forging forward.
Anything for you folks? Do you want to give any updates on committee appointments or just generally speaking?
In terms of committee appointments, we're trying to close out the process for the people that we've met with so far.
Okay.
But intertwined with that is that we're also trying to make sure that the process for the use of our appointment application is, we've got that pretty well synchronized, as well as we've now doing some research on the appointments. Michael, is to make sure the term appointments are correct and in alignment. I think these are things that, it's more housekeeping,
Yeah.
really making sure, I think there is some diligence in that area. We're not perfect in how we approve our resolutions, but again, sometimes you just have to take a step back. So
Absolutely,
that's what
many
Tom and I,
eyes.
we are trying to really take a look at that carefully and even put it in some sort of, it sounds very simplistic, but even a spreadsheet that can be used as a reference for all of our colleagues on the town board to know when a term starts and ends and things like that, so.
And that would be great, because really, I think if we had a good list like that.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're trying to do, is
Yeah.
create something comprehensive but also accurate.
Yeah, Deborah told me that the listings that she has was shared with you folks. If you need any of that material, please let me know again.
Okay.
As we have noted before, this has been a rather decentralized process over the years. What we're trying to do is to, get it focused, into one particular arena for a number of reasons. One is people need to take oaths of office. We know that, the planning board is a 7-year term. Some of the other ones are less than that. So there really needs to be a tickle file of, these
Exactly,
things.
that was the other thing I was saying.
Yep.
Sort of a tickler and a reminder, and to make sure that we do have language that's an appointment, reappointment. We've had a chance to talk about that as a
Yep.
board, to make it a little more clear when someone's reappointed versus an appointment.
When the term starts.
Yes.
The one thing that I would put out there for maybe folks that are viewing at home, we do have a volunteer application. The idea of this is every boarding committee basically the town has, and a new one as well, and that's what inspired me to think of this, is a recreation committee, is we are trying to engage our citizens in a way that they are active in government. And, we're not looking for necessarily subject experts in all things. We're looking for people to step forward to say, I have an interest, I have a willingness to serve, to commit to it, to undergo training. In some cases, there's mandatory training that people need to do, participate in monthly meetings. There's a whole slew of things. But that application helps us capture things and to get the board, and thank you to Barb and Tom, very sincerely, because you're the first ones to kind of go through and help utilize this tool in a way that's going to help us set some standards. And I know that there's some folks that have applied that have, inquired a little while ago. Government works in 2 speeds sometimes, often glacial, and oh my God, we need to do it now. And
I
this
believe we
process.
explained that to some of them, yes.
Yeah, and some, and I would argue that this process is, for government, I don't think it's been glacial, but it certainly hasn't been warp speed either. But I think we're better for it. We never had an application process before, and now any citizen in the town of Plattsburgh can step forward, fill out that application, and know that they will be reviewed in a manner going forward for consideration for appointment. But we do remind people, just because you apply, doesn't mean that you will be appointed, because appointments happen for making sure that there's a diversity on the boards, like geographical location within the town, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So,
Yeah, so I think we're trying to take a more holistic approach to this,
Yeah.
so that we do introduce inclusiveness and diversity, like Michael just said, about generational opportunities, so.
I just want to share a couple other quick things really quickly. If I didn't mention it, I know I didn't mention it, forgot to. The state of New York has acknowledged there are hotspots occurring around the country. If someone from Florida comes here, they need to self-quarantine for 14 days. Won't get into the full details of that, but I want to share it locally here. If an employee of ours opts to go on a vacation, for example, okay, to a location that is pre-identified, okay, they will need to take personal time beyond their allotted vacation time.
For the 14 days or whatever.
Yes, okay, so, and the reason I say that is predetermined, pre-acknowledged. If they are in a vacation spot, okay, say they are going to the great state of Wyoming, you know, and before they left, there was no indication that there was a problem, and then they are there, well, you know, that's a different scenario, and we're continuing to get best information, best practices. But I just wanted to share that with you.
And that, Michael, is very common in the corporate world
Yeah.
too. The advisories,
Yeah.
you know, we've all received the same advisories, you know, from the corporate side, that it's your responsibility if, you know, if you go to one of those predetermined areas.
Yeah.
The other thing, I don't know if it's in consideration, but probably should be, is how you get there. You know, some of the planes,
Oh, yeah.
if you're flying, you have a lot more chance of being exposed. And obviously, if you're driving, you can be careful, but you gotta still watch out for going through certain areas.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Last thing that I wanted to say, I don't have the resolution yet, but I would anticipate that it will be on the docket for consideration next week, is the non-union policy. And I remind folks that this is it's a policy, it's not actually a contract. They are a non-bargaining group. And I would imagine as such that will be on the docket for consideration next week. I want to thank Chuck and Meg and Jim for being involved in that conversation and moving that forward.
And that's why the word's been changed from agreement to policy.
Yes,
Correct.
it is a policy and has always been a policy. I don't want to sound like I'm finger wagging before, but we continue to try to peel back information and language in such a way to capture a more accurate reflection of what things are. You know, in my 4 years and a quarter or so, things have been maybe not as accurate, but we continue to try to polish it like anything. And Ronnie has been most helpful in that arena. So her recommendation is, if you're going to get the workbook done, we also want to try to get that non-union policy, you know, in concert with it. So
Yeah, there's a number of areas I might need clarified on that before we go.
yeah, I would strongly encourage you to talk to Chuck or Meg on it. They've been in the thickets.
I have, Chuck talked to me about it. I've got specific things.
Okay, all right. That's all I have. Is there any questions, comments, concerns, things for the good of the order?
Well, what did we add with phase 4 that we weren't already doing?
And there's areas of entertainment, education. Our region is not benefiting from phase 4 like other areas. The Strand will be able to do some things within their classroom, you know, probably their pottery classes and some things like that, workshops. Yeah, museums and stuff, but, you know, our region isn't as heavily phase 4. What really is the frustrating part is other businesses and entities that were in other phases that we felt were there have been delayed.
But even the movie theater,
Movie theater, bowling alley. the
there's so
bowling-
many seats, I'm sure that if they did it properly, we could have
Yeah.
open
I, oh yeah, I could go on at length, so. All right, seeing nothing further, we are going to adjourn tonight's meeting at 6:34 PM. I know of no reason to go into an executive session, and this is a work session tonight, so no